Hey, it's Mike here. I just want to do a quick check of our microphones, make sure we got our green dots on. And just excited today because today I have a testimony. This is what this podcast was all about. This is why I started it. This is why I wanted to start doing it, was to try to find people who believe in God and believe in Jesus and the Holy Spirit and have them tell their story on how they first came to believe. Some people have wild, incredible stories, and some people's stories are just boring, but it's all good. This is the whole podcast is just to let people know that Jesus is real, and so is God, and so is the Holy Spirit. So hopefully, something that we say here today, you'll understand, you'll pick up on, and you'll say, "Yep, I believe." Maybe if somebody who's watching this today is not a believer, maybe you'll become a believer or somewhat of a believer. And then you can read my book when it comes out in a little bit, which is hopefully another month or so, which I'll have plenty more information on that as the time comes. But in any event, this is my buddy Chris, and he's in one of my men's groups with me. I've known him for a long time. He's also in the real estate business. He's been around. He's actually the man. He knows a lot of people. So he's like a manager now. He like oversees stuff. Much bigger than me. I'm just a regular agent.
Too humble.
Anyway. So without further ado, this is Chris. So Chris, why don't you tell your story on how you came to find the Lord?
Yeah, no, Mike, obviously, thank you for having me on here. I know, obviously, you got a lot of people, and it's good to be, one of the many that, can, really share their story. I would say that, it's not fully boring, but it probably isn't as crazy as maybe some of the previous ones that Mike has done. But I was born into a, Irish Catholic family. So, as far as, my beliefs, they started from a young age, honestly. And I was going to church. I went to private Catholic school from, kindergarten through 12th grade. So, definitely was very involved in, going to church every Sunday. And I remember visiting like my grandparents.
Let me just check one thing real quick.
Sure.
Only because I want to make sure it's on.
Yeah.
Because it did it to me the other day.
No problem.
Go ahead, man.
No, it's all good. So I just remember going to like Ocean City, visiting my grandparents. They built a house there in '85 when I was a little baby. And, we'd go visit and, you want to go to the beach. And it's like, we'll go to the beach, but we're going to church first on Sunday. You know what I mean? So they were very, very big on making sure that you keep the Sabbath holy, and so I had a good upbringing in that sense. You know what I mean? And just kind of going back like really to the first day of my life. They had to use forceps to get me out of my mom, so it was just like I was kind of like just like trying to stay away from the world, and then God was like, oh no, this is happening, man. So that was kind of like the first kind of crazy big story, which was the first day of me entering the world. But I would say that I'm going to kind of talk a little bit about my story and then bounce back.
Sure.
Because of how it all makes sense. So I was going through school and very involved in, again, the Catholic Church. When I went to high school at DeMatha Catholic High School in Hyattsville, Maryland, I got involved in the campus ministry organization. Started with the Knights of Columbus as well, because my dad and my grandfather were both members of the
cool.
Catholic fraternity.
So you're around all the old guys.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the sad part, right? Is we need to get more of the young guys.
We do.
Sure. And it's a really great charity. So anyhow, got involved in that loosely. And this is more of a humble story. I would say that yes, I'm Catholic, I'm Christian. But I always know I could do more, right? I think, that's one of the things we talk about in our Bible group is how, us sharing our story isn't saying like, look at us, right? We believe in God. Right. It's saying like, we believe in God and we know that we are, human and we make mistakes and we're not perfect, right? We can always do more. We can always do better. But anyway, yeah, when I was in high school, I got involved in a youth group as well. And, definitely did a lot with them. A lot of, weekly meetings, church, fraternity, brotherhood, etc. And built a lot of friendships through that. And it was interesting though, man. Like, so one of the crazier parts of my story, probably the craziest, is that I was sexually abused by a male cousin. I was 6 years old, and I got sexually abused multiple times. He was 13.
Wow.
So that was something obviously very trying in my life.
Oh, yeah.
It still kind of has like long lasting, effects, and, you go through therapy and all that stuff. But ironically, psychologically, I blacked that out.
Yeah.
and blocked it out, and as almost like a coping mechanism, until I was a teenager. And then when I was like 13 or 14, like I finally told my parents what had happened, and of course, it was very dramatic because it was on my mom's side of the family, and
Right.
they didn't expect anything like that could have happened. We have a very awesome family, and it was just a
That's how
sad,
it usually is.
yeah, sad thing that happened. And so I would say that when I started getting those flashbacks and they started coming back to me when I was a teenager, I don't know why it happened at that time, but it did. That's when I think there were, when you get sexually abused, right, you have, especially as an adult, also you have a lot of confidence issues and self-worth issues. So God, that's where God comes into play, right, trying to fill that gap where no human being can necessarily make that better, but God can, right?
Right.
And you constantly have to go back to Him. So that's definitely one point in my life where I really, really dove deeper into God and church and making sure that I had a strong relationship with Him.
Probably helped you with mental health.
100%. 100%. Yeah. Because I mean, you get to a point, I think a lot of us talk about it, right? Like we ask, like, why, God? Like, why did this happen to me, right? And when you look at it, so there's something I learned through therapy is that there's PTSD, right? You have post-traumatic stress disorder. But there's also post-traumatic growth disorder. So, and I don't even think that's a disorder, right? It's just post-traumatic growth, right? And the whole idea of that is whatever that stress was that you went through, it made you who you are. For me, I think it made me more empathetic to people that have gone through something similar, any type of abuse, really, because it affects all of us in different ways. But we share a bond, so and what's interesting, man, is I didn't share that with the public, probably until my 30s. So I kept that like
it's
secret.
Not like something you just sit down and say, "Hey, guess what?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Guess what happened to me."
That's it.
Like,
yeah.
But how's it come up?
I know, and that's the thing. So what I started realizing is that I needed to share that as part of my journey more, and that's why God knows how many people actually watch this.
Yeah,
thing.
right.
So it's out in the public. I have nothing to hide, and I'm sharing that because if I can help anybody, I want to make sure that they know that, because I know when I shared that, a lot of people came forward and let me know, like, hey, man, I was abused as well when I was a kid, and it builds bonds and it helps me help them, and also in turn, I'm helping myself through that too, right? Because it makes me feel good that I can help other people through whatever they're like, their demons or whatever they're going through.
Yeah, right.
And then I would say,
but like having God, was that like having your own psychologist, with you? Because he can kind of help a lot of that.
Yeah, no, it's a good question, man.
Like to lean on him for prayer and stuff.
Yeah, I would say that, there's only so much you can do through therapy, right? Like that part of it. And I actually didn't do therapy until later on in my life. I wasn't doing therapy when I was a teenager, which I should have done.
Right.
But there's only so much a therapist can do without that divine intervention to make sure that you're feeling like you are worthy, for lack of a better way to put it. But yeah, it definitely helped me feel more connected and felt more like whole,
Yeah.
So ultimately, that was definitely one big thing that God has played a big part in my life, rebuilding me. And then I would say that, like, just like the Book of Judges talks about, where most humans, pretty much everybody, right? It's like a roller coaster, right? We stay tight to God, everything's great, and then we start veering off, and we get into earthly things, right?
Yeah.
We buy the nice car, we buy the nice house, we're spending the money on all the things, and we kind of lose ourselves a little bit, right? We were talking about Mark 8:36, right? So the whole idea of just kind of gaining all these worldly pleasures, but then shying away from God, which is the reason why you got those worldly pleasures in the first place, right?
Because they were blessings.
That's exactly it. Yeah, and then we forget how we even got them, right? So I've had that kind of roller coaster kind of spirituality or spiritual life, I'd say, where I veer away, and then He calls me back. So there's multiple times where I've seen God in my life for sure. But like, for example, like even just like small stuff, man. And I don't look at this as coincidences. Like, I remember I worked for Pepsi before I got into real estate, Mike. And I was driving a 97 Jetta, and there was like just a crazy rainstorm coming down. And I was right off of Northern Parkway in 83. And there was this like big water puddle. And I had to get to an account. I was just like, dude, I got to just push through it. It was too high. I shouldn't have done it, but it flooded the engine. And I was just sitting there, and I hate traffic. And I'm the reason why. Everybody's backed up. That lane's closed. And I'm sitting there like, Jesus, why did I do this? And somebody came up with a van, man, and knocked on my door. And they're like, hey, man, do you want me to, can I help you? Right. And I was like, well, I just want to get out of everybody's way. Like, I don't know if my car's going to start. It's not starting now. He got out of his truck. It's pouring down rain. He doesn't have an umbrella, jacket, or anything. He's like, all right, I'm going to push. You just steered off into the grass. He pushed me off the road, and he's like, why don't you, come into the van and, we'll say prayer, and, that way you can get out of the rain. So I did. He said a prayer for me. And he was like, God called me to help you, and it was like a small little like moment where I could have just been stranded, wait for the rain to pass, sit there, and everybody's hating me behind me, and staying in everybody's way. But he made the decision and was called by God to help me through that, right? So that was just one little thing, and this was post college, right, where I saw God working. You know what I mean? You see those little things in your life, those little deposits that God makes. And again, sometimes they're more apparent, and other times they're maybe a little less apparent. But that was one where it's just like so obvious. I even offered the guy money. I was like, "Thank you so much." And he's like, "Dude, I didn't do this for money, man. Like God called me to help you." So it was that was a really cool moment. But then, like fast forward, I would say too a couple other things that I think that are worthwhile to share. Is
Yeah, we got time.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, plenty of time.
All right, cool. So I would say from a like professional standpoint, obviously we all have our ups and downs in our businesses and everything. He's always been there. Like there was one time I was working for a real estate company, and I had to work.
Were you ever an agent?
I was a licensed agent when I was with a builder.
With the builder.
Yeah, exactly.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
So
I think I met you.
That's when we met.
I remember it.
Exactly. So I was at the model home, and the challenge there was the schedule, right? I was starting a family, and I was working a lot of the weekends, and I didn't have a lot of flexibility. Couldn't really take off the time.
Right.
And ultimately, that was one thing that was a challenge. So God looked out for me, and found me an opportunity that worked out, and I was able to get into the resale market in a leadership role that got me a Monday to Friday, and got my weekends back, so that way I could be with my family and be at all the sporting events, and the holidays, and the birthdays.
All that stuff that's important.
That's it, man. Exactly. So that was something that years and years of not being able to be present for those things. We were looking forward and saying, man, like I can't miss that. As my child gets older, and now children, 2 kids. So that was a blessing for sure to get that that family, that work-life balance back.
Right.
And then like fast forward now to like literally 2 years ago. And I could certainly talk more, but try to keep it short and sweet for the crowd here. I was, sadly went through a divorce in 2022, and I would say that just like most people, especially for males, like we have to be tough. Never let them see you sweat. So I was trying to go through life.
Be macho guy.
Yeah. So after that divorce, obviously that's a very traumatic experience as well. It's kind of like a death of a family member, right? Like, and the whole friendship dynamic kind of shifts a little bit, and it gets a little bit different. And I tried to kind of survive that and do it all myself. You know what I mean? And I would go to church every now and again, but I didn't really plug in, right? Until beginning of 2024, one of my buddies invited me to a group that was like a divorce therapy group at Mount Christian. And we did 13 weeks, once a week, and we started developing a great fellowship with the folks that were going through it. It was people of all different, backgrounds, ages.
And how many people were in the group?
So it varied each week, but there were about like 7 or 8.
That's pretty good.
Yeah,
it's pretty good to build solid relationships.
That's it, man.
That's good.
And it was something that I should have done sooner. So the reason I'm sharing that with everybody is, hopefully you see this if you are going through something like that, and realize like get the help before you think you need it, right? Because you need it.
And that was free at church.
It was like a $20.
Like $20, right?
So you buy the book,
so
and
you
then
can go to your church for help.
Exactly.
And it usually doesn't cost a lot of money.
That's it.
That's the same thing if you want to read the Bible and you don't know what you're doing and you have no idea where to start. Like I had no idea where to start. You can actually go to your church. A lot of your churches have what's called small groups, where you can meet in a men's or women's group setting, and they will walk you through some of this stuff. So it's another great little nugget of wisdom there. Your church, people don't think that. You think, what's my first call? Oh, it's to the attorney.
Yeah.
Or it's to the accountant because I'm worried about my money. Right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, sure.
Everybody's always worried about their money.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it goes back to what you were saying earlier too, Mike. Like I was at that point going through therapy, right? Trying to make sure I worked out all my stuff, and it was helping, but not until I started getting fellowship with other humans through God, what I mean? till when I was really able to repair a lot of the brokenness,
Right.
for lack of a better way to describe it. So that was really helpful, and I appreciate my friend Chris for inviting me to this day. And we still, like, the group still has like a group text where we chat and help each other out. We get together. We're doing a holiday party in December together. You know what I mean? So
That's cool.
it's really created like a cool bond and friendship, for all of us. And then, this guy here is another big part of my story this year, because I had gotten away from reading the word. And, the only time I really received the word was, I follow some stuff on Instagram that's spiritual and religious. And, I see some of the word there. And, I'll go to church every now and again, like I said, just not, all the time, not consistently. So that was just like a very little bit of engagement with the word.
And you don't have to go to church to be spiritual and to be able to be eligible to go to heaven. You don't have to go to church. The thing is that when you're spiritual and you believe and you're saved and all that, and God's in your life, you actually want to go to church.
Mhm.
It's funny how it works. It's like you don't have to do it, but you want to do it. You want to go to church. You want to read the Bible more. You want to do. You just want to. You just get this craving to do more and more. For him.
Yeah, absolutely. So, long story short, Mike was nice enough, and it was interesting, man. Like, God, I guess, called you. Like,
Yeah.
Mike sent me a quick Facebook message and was just like, dude, it's been probably, what, 3-4 years before we had hung out last time. Like, grabbed the beer or whatever. He's like, let's just get together. So we went to Looney's, grabbed lunch outside. It was a nice day, and, caught up about all the things that we both had gone through over the last couple of years. And he mentioned, a Bible group, a men's Bible group. And, I was blessed enough to be able to, make it to those. And I still go to those quite often. And, that's, again, another situation where now I'm in the Word more often. I'm with, other, Catholic and Christian gentlemen, talking about the word and how it affects our life. And, it's just, again, this isn't a story of like, look at us doing all these things. It's a story of like, hey, we're all broken, and we're working on, rebuilding ourselves and making sure that God is at the center of that and the foundation of that as much as possible. Right. So,
and letting him rebuild us.
Yeah.
That's what really happens is you get in the word, you go to these groups, and you do your work. Then God rebuilds you, and you wake up one day and you're a different person. Like I'm not the same person anywhere near what I used to be. I'm not that guy, and there's blessings and curses that come with it. Do I make anywhere near the amount of money that I used to make? No, but I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that because money is not my God anymore. It used to be. That's all I used to do was dream about money, live about money, be about money. How much more money can I make today? How much more money can I make before lunch? I mean, that's what it was all about. That's it. How many more sales can I get? How many more contracts can I turn in? Oh, look at him. He's doing more than me. No, I got to do more than that. And comparing myself to everybody else and trying to be the one on the cover of the magazine because of vanity and ego and pride and greed.
Yeah, we all have.
There's so much.
Absolutely. The 7 deadly sins,
Oh,
right?
It was like everything in one.
Yeah.
I mean, the greed was out of control.
I get it.
It was out of control because that's like all I dreamed of. And so I kind of had a little, we'll say falling from grace, so to speak, where I had to get my own wake up call from God. He forced me to kind of learn some things. And today actually is the 99th episode of this podcast.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So
well,
I was thinking, what am I going to do for 100?
Yeah.
And I keep teasing everybody, and I keep telling them that I'm not going to tell my story, but I think I'm actually going to tell my story for the 100th podcast.
That. That's good.
And my wife's going to kill me because she don't want me to say anything.
I get it.
But I'm just going to I'm going to put it out there. Yeah. So if you see this and you want to know my story, it'll be in my book too. But the story is what's going to be out there for 100 podcasts. But that is what led me to Chris, because as I was kind of rebuilding myself and kind of reevaluating my own life and what I went through, it was like, who can I reach out to that I haven't talked to in a long time, that, I hold in pretty good regard, that is a grounded person. And I'm like, going through, and I'm like, all right, I'll do lunch with him. I'll do lunch with him. I'll do lunch with her. I'll do lunch with her. And then Chris, I was like, yeah, Chris. I haven't done lunch with Chris.
Yeah.
And I knew Chris is going to pay for it too. So, yes, we're definitely doing lunch with Chris because Chris is going to pay for it. But he didn't really pay for it. It was his company that paid for it. But it's all good because if you're watching this for Berkshire, I help you out too. Because I gave you an agent. I gave you an agent that has made you guys a lot of money. He's made you a lot of money.
He is a good guy.
Named JF is his initials. So John's his first name. So
he just sold my house.
And you got to think, John. You know what? So he went to Berkshire because I told him to call Chris.
This is true.
Just so you know.
This is true.
Just so you know.
Amen.
So see how that works.
So
I got a little $7 lunch.
No,
thank you.
I forgot about that.
And I drank water. I think I didn't even think I got a drink.
No, you didn't. Yeah, you were very responsible. But yeah, no, that was a good day. That was what, 5 years ago. I remember.
Yeah.
Thank you for reminding me. Yeah, that was pretty cool. And this isn't, I guess it made my ego feel good, but it was also just a good human experience. When he was, when our mutual friend was looking for a brokerage change. He was like, dude, I asked 5 people, who should I talk to? And all 5 of them said Chris Perry. And I was like, oh, awesome. Who'd you talk to? And Mike was one of them. So I appreciate that, man, because he was going through a time where he wasn't sure what he was going to do. And he was a little worried about, being out on his own. So that was a good, experience.
Good fit for everybody.
Yeah. Now he's kicking butt, which is great.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, man, I mean, obviously I could talk a lot more, but that's really kind of the gist of it. It's just the fact that, we all go through those ups and downs, and the more we stay connected to God and each other through Bible groups and church and everything like that. My story, I would say, is that don't be the prodigal son where you keep on leaving God and going away from Him. Stay in it as much as possible, and that's been my new mission: is to go to the Bible group as much as I can, whether my life is great or my life is challenging. Don't wait until your life is challenging to go back to something. Stay in it, and then that way you won't have those bigger lows, right?
Yeah.
You'll try to stay a little more plateaued on those lows because you're in God, you're in God's word, and you're with your people. So.
And for me, it's every day I live it. Every single day I pray in the morning. I pray at night. I read scripture almost every single day. I try to go to a Bible study or some kind of Celebrate Recovery or something every single day of the week, just to keep me in it, to keep me around, because I need to be around people who are like me. They always say you are the company you keep. Well, if I want to be around company, I want to be around other people who are believing in God and who are doing the right thing and who are Christians, and that's what I want to be around. I don't want to be around the guys that are going out for Monday Night Football, pounding beers, getting shit faced, or sorry, I shouldn't say that, but getting plastered and getting in the car and driving home and getting home at 12 o'clock at night. That's not who I am anymore as a person, and it's because God has completely changed me. He is the one that's done it. I didn't do it. He did it, and it's like anything is possible when you have God on your side. Anything. You want to quit smoking? Give your cigarettes to God. He'll get you to quit smoking. I quit smoking. You want to quit doing drugs, you want to quit drinking, you want to quit whatever, you quit looking at porn, whatever. Just give it all to God. Just give it all to God. Let Him take care of it. But, you got to be the one. The biggest thing is you got to be the one to ask Him for help. He doesn't just come to you magically like the genie in the bottle. He doesn't just show up and say, "What can I help you with? What are your 3 wishes?" Right? It doesn't work like that.
No, that's so true.
You got to ask Him. You got to ask Him. So
yeah, he basically, and that's why that whole "woe is me" thing. It's not "woe is me." He puts those challenges in our lives so that way we have a decision to make. Do we choose to get closer to Him or not? If we don't, our life's probably not going to get better, and we're going to stay miserable, right? So
you're probably going to have the same challenge again.
Correct.
And again, and again,
yeah,
and again, and again, and again. And
little
again.
Groundhog Day type moments, exactly. So that's it, man. You just go closer to God to fix those challenges.
Because those challenges, you look at them as adversity, you look at them as stress, you look at them as, man, this sucks. I don't want to have to go through this because I got to crawl through the mud and the rain and just to get where I'm going, and it sucks, but you don't know it at the time, but He is teaching you. He's letting you grow. He's letting you learn through the adversity, through the challenges, through the struggles, because you will see when you get through it, then you'll see what you learn from it. You just got to know that God, and it says this in the Bible, He's got your plan. He's got your blueprints. He's already figured out your entire life. But it's up to you, like Chris said, to follow his lead and to let him take you to where you are supposed to be. Like, I mean, even me, did I know 12 months ago that I'd be writing a book? Are you kidding me? Did I know 12 months ago I'd even be talking about God and I'm doing a podcast about him?
Yeah.
No, like none of this stuff. I'd have said, no way. I'm not going to church. I don't do that. Like none of it, but it all has completely changed because I've allowed him to let me grow and grow and grow. And we'll see what happens. Maybe the book will sell 10 copies and maybe it'll sell 10 million copies. Who knows? But I know that he was the one that pushed me to do it. He is the one that helped me do it. And who knows what the next step is, Maybe there's a reason right now for me personally, real estate is not very busy right now. Maybe there's a reason, because I believe in God, instead of sitting around and crying every day and feeling sorry for myself and being upset and being angry and being mad and blaming everything everybody else and watching all these other people get business and close deals and be frustrated, because I believe in God, I look at it like this. Maybe he's closing a door that he's opening another one. Mm-hmm. Maybe there's something so awesome out there that he's creating for me that I just have to be patient and wait my time. Because I know I'm doing everything I'm supposed to do. And I know that I'm doing everything he told me to do. And I'm praying to him every day. I'm doing everything for him every day. I'm bringing as many people back to Jesus as I can and trying to introduce people to the word and trying to introduce people to Christ and encourage people to take that step. And the whole reason is, and I say this in the book, but everybody's got this light inside of them, and the more you're closer to God, the brighter your light shines. And the brighter your light shines, the more people you attract. And the more people you attract, you can light their lights, and then they can take their lights and they can get stronger and they can attract more. And you're seeing this. You're seeing this right now around the country. And I know a lot of older people, I've been in my Bible groups, have been like, Christianity's not growing. Christianity's not growing. It is growing, and it is a thing. Just Google college campuses and baptisms and tell me what you find on Google, because there are thousands and thousands of people at campuses across the country getting baptized, getting saved, and all this stuff. It's amazing. But Christianity is growing right now, and you can be part of it. You just gotta surrender yourself over to God. Surrender yourself over to Jesus, and you'll be able to live the best life you've ever had. It'll be the best life you ever had. But you got to do it. You can't half do it. You can't half be in the world living in sin and half being going to church and singing songs on Sunday. See, it doesn't work like that. You can't go to church and sing songs and then sin the rest of the week because you went to church and sang songs. And you're a good person, but that's not going to get you to heaven. There's a lot more involved.
It's not as easy as like I went to the gym so I could eat the cookie, right?
That's
not how it works.
Went to the gym so I got pizza.
Yeah,
right. And ice cream, right? Yeah. That's perfect. I love that. Yeah. Went to the gym so I could eat whatever I want to eat.
Yeah,
doesn't work like that. Doesn't work like that. Look at me.
Not with God, right?
No,
Amen.
Doesn't work. So,
well, Mike, I appreciate you having me on, man. This was great, and hopefully, again, my testimony helps somebody, and if anything in my story relates to what you're going through, and I can help, please feel free to reach out to me.
Yeah, and thanks, Chris, for coming and sharing your story. It's amazing and brave to share some of the stuff you did, and I'm appreciative because I'm always looking for people who want to tell their stories. So if you see this and you're like, I think I might want to tell my story, call me up, hit me up. We'll set this up too. This one we're shooting at my own house. So we do it at my house. We do it at one of my office locations. I don't know what Cummings has now, like 25 locations or whatever it is. Not to say anything about Berkshire.
We got a
But
lot of offices.
they got a lot of too. I mean, whatever. But I'm just saying we can do whatever, whatever. So, but thanks for taking the time to watch this video. This will be on YouTube. So if you like it, that's where the main podcast is on YouTube. Chris is probably going to share it on Facebook for me. And, I'll probably have it on another Facebook page called Mike's Ministries. It's Mike's with an apostrophe S Ministries. It's a new page I just started. Then I'm starting to put some podcasts and some spiritual content on if you want to kind of jump on that and see what's out with that. So thanks again for taking time to watch it. Give us some thumbs up. Give us some comments. Give us some likes. And give us some thumbs down if you didn't like it. Whatever. I don't care. Give me something. Right? I just want something.
Feedback.
All right. Anyway.
Constructive criticism.
Thanks again. We'll talk to you later. Thanks.
Take care, everybody.